Good afternoon, evening, morning, dark side of the moon, whatever it might be for you. Welcome here to GG Speedruns for another Super Smash TV Easy Percent matchup. I'll be your main comms for the day, Brisulph coming at you with potentially up to two at any given time in the booth. Fearonburgundy and 40-watt range. Let's see if either are here right now. They're working, but they're also helping. How's it going, boys?
Fantastic.
Doing good, thank you.
They don't call them the best energy duo in the business for nothing, folks. We have a great match for you today. AriesFireTiger and Firebroth in an elimination match. I believe this is a 21 seed and I think a 15, I want to say, or 18? 18, I believe.
We have a 15 versus a 21 seed matchup. We're working here. That's why we don't have the energy we usually do.
Well, regardless of that, guys, it should be a good one. With any further ado, maybe we'll get them underway here, and it should be a good one. They both look ready to go, so let's see if we can get them underway for game number one of this best of five. They are underway already. Look at that. Dino already on top of it. Here we go. Game number one. What's your feelings here, Burgundy 40? What you feeling? Who you got?
Well, I mean, if you look just at the sheer numbers, it leans towards AriesFireTiger having a PB of 5 minutes and 40 and a half seconds versus Firebroth's 5:52.9. But they are both members of the Sub-6 Club. They both know the game fairly well. And this is actually the first time that these two will be facing off against one another, even though they have both participated in the last 3 tournaments.
Well, it looks like we got a tie going to collect power-ups. 40, quickly, what you feeling if you were there? Who you got in this matchup?
They're stacked pretty evenly. For some reason, my gut is telling me slightly Firebroth just due to maybe a little more tenacity. I'm not sure about that, though.
Well, I gotta say, guys, from where I'm sitting, despite, you can throw PBs out the window in tournament play, just based on what I've seen this year, I don't feel either one's been playing up to their full potential, so it is anyone's match. But if I had to lean one way, I got to go with the higher rank here in Aries. But either way, we are underway to collect power-ups, and we are seeing spreaders, grenades, razors, but we're not seeing those two super valuable things in rockets or an orb. And here we are starting out. They both come in without that orb, so they're going to have to scramble here. Firebroth almost gets shrapnel. Aries does go down. Not going to be a penalty, I don't think, and gets rockets.
Yeah, Firebroth moved in to grab some nades, but unfortunately lost it at the last second. And now my meeting is starting.
So 40 will be out of the booth for a bit. It'll be myself and Burgundy for the next 20 minutes. But Firebroth here struggling a bit, Burgundy. Gets the orb now. First one of the match, but has probably dropped a couple seconds here, I'd wager. Here's the second orb. Aries on the board.
Gotta love it, and we'll leave the bad memes out of this here. But yeah, the 18 Mr. Shrapnels here and Eat My Shrapnel. It's a bit of a timed room. Only up to 4 of them can be on screen at a time. So a little bit of a time loss there. Slight lead for AriesFireTiger.
Indeed, about a 2-second loss to having that 4 shrapnel on screen there for a little bit. Not totally detrimental, but you hate to give away time in that room. That is a tough room, though, if you're not getting good drops and you don't have that orb. Razor Shield for Firebroth here. A little bit of protection from the shrapnels and the swarmers. Ooh, Aries almost walked into a shrapnel piece. That was close.
And was just a split second away from a purple foot soldier as well, but now trying to maintain the middle of the room here. Not having that Razor Shield makes it very difficult.
And Firebroth continuing to just control it with that Razor Shield. Aries having to do a little bit of extra work, but has not really left the diamond, and that's what you want to see. That's how you keep the firing lanes clean. Aries, again, almost struggled into a shrapnel there. And we have a lead change, 3:05, and it's going to be about a 3:09 it looks, so it's a 6-second swing. Firebroth leading by 4 into the bonus room. Negligible, especially with tank trouble just around the corner.
Oh yeah, all it takes is one empty drop in tank trouble, and even with the orb, you can tend to see a bit of trouble with the spawn rate that occurs in tank trouble. It's akin to Arena 3, and that's probably why it takes so many people out here.
And it's not just that, it's who can control a little better than the other. I don't like this move from Aries, and Aries drops the orb. Oh, but Firebroth drops the orb as well.
Yeah, both kind of going no guts, no glory, and in this case, it led to no orb in the process.
Sometimes, though, you got to put a little bit of brain in with those guts. And hey, Firebroth gets an orb replacement and makes a nice little dance move to get it and gets rockets. The rich are getting richer, Burgundy.
Fortune sometimes favors the bold, and for some reason this game has opted to do so when usually it doesn't favor anybody. Well, it favors the favorites on occasion.
That is a common parlance expression by a few people. Rockets here for Aries, but it will be Firebroth. Oh, he dies! Oh no! 425 for Firebroth, and not the end of the room. Can he get to those rockets? No! And Aries is hemorrhaging time. Is the end of the room now? Let's see what it's going to be, but let's see what Firebroth gets in the meantime. Rockets at the door, nothing special, and it's going to be about a 15-second lead as Firebroth kills off the gunners. And looking for a ball buster, nails it, Burgundy, but gets no weapon.
Up an invulnerability, so not really able to follow up on it. That ball buster, you have to place the orb in a particular spot on the trapezius, I believe, of Mutoid Man, and that does, what is it, 42% of a form of damage, or 3/7?
Basically, it's about 420 damage, and it's about 1,000 hit points for a form. So there you go. Now you know the rest of the episode, and it's about a 3/4 form lead for Firebroth right now, maintaining roughly about a 10 to 15 second lead. Spreaders not included. Oh, he gets another form out of it. 2 forms on a lobber. Well played by Firebroth. Great fire location. Landing a lot of those 5 times damage shots, most likely. And more lobbers for Firebroth. And right now with that lead, those are fine drops to be getting.
Does avoid the shrapnel there, picks up the invulnerability. And now we have the chest popped open on AriesFireTiger's side, but a spreader is going to be needed here.
Rockets on the feet and Firebroth to the final form, but no transfer because the lobber was taken. Aries dies through a shrapnel, and that might be your GG on game 1. Let's see. Firebroth just goes for a walk through Mutoid. No big deal.
Just a little stroll. Why not? It's the afternoon here.
Head pop for Aries, but Firebroth pops the final head, and that'll be game 1 to Firebroth. Now, keep in mind, Firebroth's PB is from the 5th annual tournament, getting it in tournament play, the first to ever sub-6 for the first time in a tournament race. So, 619, solid showing, solid opener here for Firebroth. Both of them with a few mistakes, though, for on. You got to wonder who's going to clean it up sooner than the other. Tank Trouble was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, as Tank Trouble tends to be, at least in my experiences, but then again, well, the less said about my experiences with this game, the better.
And, as much as we talk about consistency and what have you, that's all you really need to compete in this. But if you want to compete really well in Smash TV Easy Percent in this tournament, in this day and age, you've got to figure out how to do Tank Trouble. And a lot of that is power-up management, when to go for them, when to ignore them. And unfortunately for Aries, chasing that spreader early was the real death knell of everything and anything in that match. So it's 1-0 Firebroth. We'll have to wait and see if we can get an equalizer from Aries.
We certainly will. Chat noting that was the quote-unquote practice round over, as kind of shaking some of the nerves and some of the jitters out here. So, of course, I had to ask, we talking about practice?
And another thing I'll say, something I've been doing since last year's tournament, which helps, is developing a pre-match ritual for yourself before you have your match, whatever it might be. Whatever substance you might partake in, maybe, I don't know, maybe a stream ahead of time, get yourself hyped up. You just get yourself into that right mind frame and ready to rock and roll. Don't psych yourself out. But we should be underway here momentarily. Aries just setting up here for the manipulation. Firebroth already set up. I think we're going to see an equalizer here, Ferran. I think we're going to go 1-1.
We have the prediction up, so go ahead and utilize those channel points accordingly. Bet with your head, not over it. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm with you. I think this one will definitely go at least 4.
I am back from putting my 1,000 points in the pot. on Aries, and we are underway. Game number 240. I don't know if you were able to watch any of that during your meeting, because I know you were actually working and being a productive member of society, but any thoughts on race 1 before we get too deep into race 2?
Unfortunately, I didn't see the Mutoid Man fight. I was watching everything else. It seems that just the typical theme so far of this tournament for a lot of people, including our higher-end players, has just been losing the orb and tank trouble and sometimes your life. And I don't know if it's nerves or just the room itself, but that seems like where everyone can be optimizing and cleaning up.
100%. And as I was saying, your selection of items to get, not to get, and when to get them is the most important thing in that room, in addition to your firing lanes. But we are underway here into collect power-ups. First drops are an invulnerability and a grenade. Firebroth right now looks like, yep, gonna leave that nade. And look at this, Aries, after getting the invulnerability, gets the orb second drop.
Definitely what you love to see. Getting that drop early just makes this room so much easier and more manageable. Usually you can get out by 120 and under with just the orb, so it's always nice to get that first.
Looks like Firebroth, no, wow, didn't play that nuke. I thought for sure we would have seen it late to try to keep the shrapnels down. But they're going to blow up anyway, so Firebroth, but gets a third one as Aries is out at about a 125, 126. It'll be a 5-6 second lead, something like that. Oh no, big mistake, Aries.
But the game rewarded him and said, yeah, we know you didn't see that.
Oh, nice little move by Firebroth, hiding the orb away from that swirl as it died all around him. Somehow kept it out of the hitbox and still has it healthy, wealthy, and wise.
And Aries getting easy on easy mode now. This room just being the 18 shrapnels that have to be either killed or explode somehow, including the foot soldiers. Once you have that razor shield, though, it's very simple for that first half.
That's a 208 for Aries. Let's see if Firebroth is going to keep things about the same. Yeah, it's going to be about the same lead here. 5-6 seconds. Maybe gained a half second there, it appears.
So both still holding the orb. Aries in the center with the rockets now with the razor shield as those run out, as Firebroth picks up a shrapnel and it runs out as well. So right now, just a whole bunch of keys on the deck for everybody.
But early drops for Aries. Rocket, razor. The Malk is flowing out there. And a nuke on the feet, not terrible, not great, but not terrible as Aries is really taking control of this room. We're probably going to see a lead extension here on that 5 seconds.
Aries exercising a little bit of caution there too. It's nice to see. He didn't want to lose any of his razor shield to the shrapnel that was sitting there, so he just gave it like an extra second to pick up that drop to keep it intact.
It's a solid mid 301. Firebroth late razor shield has a nuke, needs to use it. That might have done it. Great nuke from Firebroth. It's at about an 8-second lead. So Firebroth, despite getting back end power-ups, only lost 2 seconds. Not too shabby.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that bomb, that nuke, he'd be losing a lot more, so that was properly timed and used.
It was probably on one of the last frames, if not the last frame. Aries opens up with a foot, ignores it. We're having a little bit of feed issue there. Not sure what's going on there, but in the meantime, Firebroth gets a spreader to start, kills off the first gunner, retreats back, putting some shots up there, damaging him. And yes, we are having some serious stream issues over on Aries' side. So let's focus on Firebroth till it's cleaned up there.
Man, Aries lost his orb, died, got another orb, and then lost it all within that time, too.
And keep in mind, there is an 8-second gap due to that issue with the restream, as Firebroth gets shot by a tank and has to go with the pea shooter and a foot right now. Rockets for Aries. Keep in mind, too, there is a time differential on screen. Firebroth goes down again, but gets rockets. Will this be enough to finish the room?
Even though you don't love to see them lose their orbs, at least both of them do, so it keeps this game as equal as it can. You get to see what they're really made of.
An orb late here for Aries. Will appear to be out first. It's a 432 versus a 424. They look tied on your screen, but that's an 8-second lead for Aries, FireTiger. It looks like a pause from a restreamer will get them lined back up.
Yeah, so with Firebroth only being down about 8 seconds, it seems like they had even tank troubles.
That's an invulnerability on air. No, it's a grenade, actually, but either way, doesn't want it with that lobber on board. Here's a spreader. Firebroth couldn't decide where to die. Catches a bullet, though. Should be enough, and this... Oh, here's a chance for Aries, though.
Wow. Equal opportunity drops.
You know, you say you love to see it, but not when you're the one that's trailing. Another spreader chance. Oh, Aries can't get to it. Mutoid's blocking it. Great manual, though, from Aries. Pretty solid. And we're basically tied.
Yeah, he just popped the second arm as you were saying that. Another arm on Firebroth's side. Aries has an option for a spreader. He's going to have to go manual by grabbing it. Exhausted the lobbers a little bit.
He has a good chance if Mutoid went away. Mutoid was setting up to just stay on that wall, it looked like, but then decided to just skate away ever so slowly.
Form-wise, tied up here. As I say that, Aries pops the head, so he's probably about 75% of a form ahead.
Firebroth having a few issues landing shots, now getting them in there, and there is the form change. Aries gets a foot, takes the intentional, does not get a spreader, gets a nade, can at least pound some of that in. Rockets for Firebroth, and this is pretty much a dead heat.
Yeah, both with dead drops now, too, so Aries now getting lobbers, so now Firebroth has popped the chest.
It's basically a tie, but Aries has just taken the lead due to having a weapon right now. But now a lobber for Firebroth, and they both, oh no, Aries dies! Huge opening here for Firebroth. Can he take game 2?
Also, Aries cannot die again, or it's a loss of more time with the continue, so Firebroth on the top, and he takes it right there, 615 pop head.
That was maybe the second last shot on that lobber, or the last shot. And it's going to be Firebroth up 2-0. And if Aries doesn't die there, I don't know. That might have gone the other way. That one was tight.
Yeah, there's definitely some pivotal moments there. They were pretty close on that Mutoid Man fight. It evened up at all 1 point. So, yeah, a death either side less and different game.
What? They don't say close. They say how many or something like that. It's 2-0. Firebroth here, and Aries is now going to have to put a reverse sweep on Firebroth. And I don't think Firebroth's too vulnerable to reverse sweeps for him.
Not at all. We've never known anyone to take it 4 games afterwards.
Well, luckily only got to go 3, so this at least should be in the realm of possibility. 2-0 Firebroth here. Firebroth looking to advance as the 21 seed. A slight upset by PBs and rank, but at this point, you're really splitting the hairs that have already been split when you're getting into this range of players. One mistake is magnified. I've been saying this the whole way. Mistakes, as you move along, get worse and worse. And this tournament is so competitive now, 40, that it just makes it, come to fruition. It's nice to know that I'm right once in a while. That's all.
Yeah, I fully agree. That's also what I've been saying here, is that it's more for someone to lose the match rather than it is for someone to win it, if you're looking at things other than the drops.
Like if you go in and play your best and you just lose in the end because the drops are better for the other guy, you just tip your hat and move on. But if you go in and make mistakes and put yourself vulnerable, that's a problem. So it's going to come down to, can Aries clean up the play here? Firebroth has been slightly better in the regular rooms, and the power-ups overall have been, over the course of it, have been pretty even. It's just where you get them and when, how you use them. We're underway here, 40. I can't imagine we're seeing a sweep today, but here we are with a potential. Let's go.
I believe in Aries. He has it in him to at least claw 1 or 2 back. So let's see Aries what he does here. Sometimes this kind of pressure can actually turn things into diamonds. You get that adrenaline rush. If you can control that adrenaline and use it to your favor, it works wonders.
Well, it should be about a 1 second hole shot here for Firebroth, getting a very low 39, but that was not even a second. Not even, because Aries basically left at 40 flat. And I got to tell you, we will know how Aries is doing just by the play in this room, how the decision-making is, how the movement is. And that'll tell us whether we're going to see first drop orb and a good decision to back off to boot.
Yeah, the patience there, the recognition is definitely good. He gets rockets to follow it up, so he definitely has the major advantage right now for this room.
Oh, Aries, great job. The rockets split around that green shirt twice and was still able to recognize it and get the pea shooter shots after it ran out to get that green shirt before the orb went away. This is a great time. It is a great time. That is a 81 second into Eat My Shrapnel, but you know what? Pretty solid from Firebroth. Good rocket use at the end of the room. It's a high 86, so it's about a 5 second lead. Oh, and Aries gets trolled. Oh, no. And he couldn't get the invulnerability, but he doesn't die at least.
Yeah, death in this room at the very beginning, as long as you only have like 2 shrapnels on the screen, isn't so bad. He's opting to use the bomb now to clean everything
Honestly,
up.
not a bad decision in that situation. Also looking for an orb here. Didn't want to leave that there. Could keep everything under control, but barely right now with this setup. Not a bad decision, but as we were discussing earlier on my stream, that's a 1.5, 2-second penalty there.
And we've seen matches be determined by less.
100%. So it is going to be about, I think, a 4-second lead now. So a solid second gained for sure, and maybe a little more. And now that Firebroth with that orb is going to start biting into that lead and then some. Aries playing the nuke. We got to see something for Aries and soon, because the longer it goes out, the weapons, that's something. That's something, but you got to see that orb.
Yeah, Firebroth getting a little risky on the side. I always tell people to try to shoot and change as quickly as you can once they've hit halfway to your point on the walkways, and letting them get up to that little red dotted line is not what you want to do with an orb.
100%. Oh, Aries recognizes the invulnerability, runs out, and was just a step away from dying. Trying to get the spreader with the foot near the mine, gets it done with a couple tries. Another spreader here. Rockets for Firebroth, and this lead is definitely going to be changing here with these drops and how they've played out, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, Aries isn't getting bad drops. But
Another great nuke. And you know what? It's only a 2-second lead. Aries only bled about 6 seconds there. Not as bad as you'd imagine. So Aries making do there with all those spreaders.
Yeah, he's going to walk
save
in
some
with...
of those for Mutoid Man, will you?
Aries has got to get there first. And right now it's scramble o'clock.
Yeah, he's going to have a slight weapon advantage, I guess, with a spreader. I mean, it kind of gives you one more shot than the orb would, maybe.
Unless you're in tight, though, pretty inaccurate. Look at that. Aries recognizes it, gets in tight, gets rid of a gunner. Smart play. Now, I was wondering if he was going to use the razor directly on the gunner. You can do that. It just breaks it pretty hard. That's all.
Yeah, I personally would have done it in that case, but I'll admit, I didn't even know you could do that until I had played the game for like a year and a half.
Well, you know, it's always nice to say I learned something new today. Meanwhile, Firebroth continuing to hold down the middle here and keeping the diagonals under control. This is the first time we've really seen this from either competitor. Doing a good job of keeping the middle clean right now, watching for tanks, ignoring the shrapnels, and just looking to get on. Oh, now I see the orb and rockets for Aries, so this is going to give Aries a chance to keep this loss of lead to a minimum. And some spreader for Firebroth coming into the boss fight. It's a 432. And great recognition by Aries. Did you see that? He saw the shrapnels were gathering, killed him first.
Yeah, did lose the orb to a tank a couple of seconds earlier, so Firebroth is going to have at least the potential for a ball buster here.
And that rocket is very collectible right now. Gets the buster, but I guess he didn't know he could get it. That was accessible behind Mutoid's head. Now he's on the nade. Oh, that's gross. And Aries gets the lead.
Yeah, Aries definitely played that. They both had kind of the same start with spreaders, and for some reason, Firebroth didn't take the free hits. He just wasted on the gunners in a way.
So either a mistake on Firebroth's side or just a heads-up 500 IQ point play from Aries, and we have a lead change in Mutoid. Here's a spreader, and right decision. Aries thought about dying, but didn't know how long it was there. Unfortunately, does get run over.
Oh, look at this for Firebroth, though. Right at the door, a spreader as the second
And he's
arm
lining
pops.
up. And he's lining up. That is disgusting. And this might be all she wrote here. Let's see. It's not over yet, though. Manual chance for Aries.
Aries now popping the head, so form-wise, they're relatively tied here. It's just going to come down
That's
to
a
drops.
rocket. Oh, and final form. I think a spreader right now, or... Ooh, Firebroth dumps that lobber a bit early, went to the rocket. That lobber should be enough if he stays clean here. There is some shrapnel explosion going on. And there it is. Firebroth is going to finish this in a 3-0 sweep with 3 very consistent 6-1Xs. So, love to see it.
Wow.
Bit of a shocker, but hey, good for Firebroth. Firebroth, since that run in the 5th tournament and suffering a reverse sweep, to some schlub, has kind of struggled. Last year, a bit of a struggle in the tournament. Won against Sigma, but lost the second round, but wins one here, and that was a very good showing. Firebroth is advancing. GG to Firebroth, and GG to Aries AriesFireTiger. I'm sorry that you have been eliminated, but hey, GG's to you all the same, and we're happy to have you. 40, any thoughts to take us out of here? Just one match right now, guys. I don't think there's any more tonight. I believe there's one tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, though, right here on GG Speedruns.
Yeah, looking at the events here, you are correct. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. right now, we have Jackamus versus Johnny Link. So that'll be the next one on the schedule.
Looking forward to that, and it should be a good one. But with that, guys, I think that is all for us here on GG.